something. I already mentioned that out of the 64 billion, there is a multilateral bilateral project tied loan. It's a loan for the greater Abuja water system. So it's coming from, it's a loan. So that is 33.2 billion. Then in addition, there's a counterpart funding of 9 billion 800 million to for the Abuja light rail, which is, of course, you know, it's an ongoing project. So when you look at the core projects meant for FCT, is just is when you deduct that it's 21.8 billion. So what we are saying here is the core projects for 2022, apart from these loans and the counterpart funding, is 21.8 billion, as against last year's 37 billion. So do you see what we are saying? Even though nominally we have an increment from 37 to 64, but out of that 64, 21 billion, no, 43 billion was deducted for 33 billion for the water supply and 9.8 billion for the Abuja light rail. So that's what we're saying. In effect, when you look at last year's budget, those that were captured from the 37, it has now fallen to 21 billion. And our main fear is, you know how Abuja is getting to. I mean, you could see the kind of congestion we have in Abuja, in the satellite towns. People, you know, traversing, even though the Abuja light rail is a welcome idea because it will ease those traffic log jams that we all face in the mornings while coming to work.
So, concerning the recurrence, if you realize there's no amount appropriated for recurrence, that is for the staff.
Yeah.
How does it get this funding in paying salary for the staff of FCT?
You know, Abuja wears a double cap. One, the seat of the federal government, which also has the Ministry of FCT, and also the FCDA that administers Abuja as a territory. It also gets its funding from revenue that it generates. It also gets its funding from the allocation that it gets from the Federation Allocation Account Committee as FCT. Now, that makes up the bulk of the statutory budget of the FCT. FCT, FCDA is meant to cater for its staff through the statutory budget. This is the national budget. The statutory budget will come in due course, but hopefully it should be here before the end of the month, and then probably submit it to the president before the end of December.
Finally, distribution. This is not about budget, but about your committee and FCT. Remember last year when when the minister came, the committee challenged the FCT administration on public transportation.
Yes.
That there's no public
Yes.
transportation.
Yes.
And I was in that place. They said they are working on something and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
As it is today, nothing practical is on the ground. The former National Referee left the stage in 2007. They had already brought in some branded taxes. But today, we are not seeing anything.
I think let's look at it. Say Rome was not built in a day, but the effort that was put in between last year and this year on the Abuja light rail is tremendous. Already, you could see from the statutory budget of the FCT, we had the same amount, the 9.8 billion. Again, we have also in the national budget the 9.8 billion. So what you're looking at is almost 20 billion naira within 1 year. So, and apart from that, that is only for the light rail. Then there are other infrastructure that is in the 2021 statutory budget. The opening of those rail stations. There's the one at Kokwaba, and there's also one near Kubwa that they have already awarded the contract for the access road and the parking. So I think by this time next year, we should have some kind of service of the Abuja light rail.
Satellite towns, sir.
Yes.
They're not development.
There are, but it's just the congestion is, you know, the infrastructure is being overstretched. But of course, you are aware that the FCT IRS have started working, and revenue, they have already met and surpassed their target for 2021. So, which we believe that, I'm sure when you were here when the minister presented the 2022 budget, and says FCT now ranks second after Lagos in the nation in terms of revenue generation, which was before maybe around number 6 or number 7. So now FCT is second, all within 1 year. So you could see that tremendous leap. And we believe also that their statutory budget, when presented in due course, will have a tremendous leap in expenditure and revenue generation. So we'll have a lot of, the committee is very keen on the development of the satellite towns. Because when you look at it, even look at all the axes, the road leading from the satellite towns into town, just go by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, you'll see the tremendous logjam. Kubwa to Abuja, Karu to Abuja, Lugbe to Abuja. You know, you look at it, you could see, and there's a lot of logjam. But the satellite towns itself, the greater water project also is, and even here in our budget, we have reduced, we have increased the Karshi water supply. We added 1 billion naira onto the Karshi water supply, which means that we're looking at the satellite towns development. So we're concerned about the development of satellite towns.
Thank you,
Yeah, thank you
distinguished.
very much. Thank you.
Okay,